Well, hello there. This is Michael from Make It WordPress, and today we were looking into Cloudways. Cloudways is a managed cloud hosting provider, and what they do is that they manage VPSs for you from existing cloud providers. Cloudways, among other applications, support WordPress, and they are a great party to host WordPress websites. Let's just give a preview in their features. Cloudways uses a unique environment to have the service. Actually, they're using existing providers such as Filter, Linode, DigitalOcean, and they put their own stack or software on it and manage all technical details for you. This saves a lot of hassle. As you can see on the website, they have a lot of features concerning performance, security. Also, the support is quite elaborate. One thing is the way they deliver the service is different than shared providers because you have control over your own server and your own applications. And normally with shared providers, such as SiteGround or smaller packages in WP Engine, your website is placed on a server with many other websites. With Cloudways, you launch your own virtual server. They manage the server and all difficult technical things, and you can focus on adding new websites and applications. At last, they have a lot of possibilities to have collaboration and teamwork. But enough of the talk. Let's just scroll back and look to the pricing models. As you can see, the pricing models are based on the cloud provider you use. For example, you can choose Vultr and they will have different prices based on what server package you use. Well, usually if you would go to Filter directly, you would have a lot cheaper server. For example, the $44 a month package would cost $20 a month at Filter, but then all the software and all the stack and all the features of Cloudways are not integrated. You have to install them yourself and manage the server yourself, and that's the big advantage of Cloudways. They will manage your server. So enough of the talk on the front page. Let's go to the back end of the application. Here we are. Let's add a new server. And we will be adding a WordPress to the server. Test application. Select a project. We will selecting a server from Vultr, just a small server in Amsterdam. And one of the good things of Cloud is that you pay as you go. So invoicing is monthly, not yearly. But if you only use a server for half a month, you will pay half of the monthly fees. And that is great if you have temporary applications or if you're moving applications from servers and so forth. So let's launch this server. So it will be taking a couple of minutes before the server is launched. So we will be back at you. And let's speed this up. So in the meantime, our test server has been added to Amsterdam. What we will do now is go through the various settings and tabs and discover all the features of Cloudways in detail. So let's click on the Manage Test Server. So what you can see here are different tabs in which you can manage your server and see into details and performance. So we will just go through them. Here are the master credentials for your server, so you can access the server and all applications using SFTP or SSH. There is a monitoring tab. This is quite useful. Here you can see how much the server is used, how much free memory you have, and so forth. Because this is quite a new server, you don't have any data yet. And on application level, Cloudways uses New Relic to monitor the performance of applications, and that is an external platform. We won't go into that, but it's quite nice that there is integration for it. Then there's another tab in which you can manage the server services. So here you can see the actual stack of Cloudways, all the different services they are running on a server. This is quite useful because if one of these services fail, you can restart it. You can also see that there's Varnish available, Nginx, the MySQL for databases running, there's Memcached for object caching, and Apache. Then there's a tab of settings and packages, in which you can do the basic PHP settings, such things as upload size, memory limits, execution limits, how long a script may be executed. There's also an advanced tabs, in which you can add more advanced features. They even have Xdebug installed, which is great to debug when you're developing. You can change MySQL settings, Nginx settings, and so forth. There is also an option under Nginx to enable a WAF module if you have, for example, security or Cloudflare, and also HTTP2 is supported. This enables to push multiple scripts or style sheets on your website, improving performance. At last, there is a tab with packages, and this is a great tab because you can change the PHP version of your server, the MySQL version, but there's also Elasticsearch, which you can enable. Let's just enable it here. Now we have to wait while the packages update. What Elasticsearch is, that it is a piece of software or a search engine which drastically improves the search performance. And for WordPress, they have a plugin called ElasticPress. And this integrates WordPress into Elasticsearch if it's installed on your server, and this will make WordPress search so much better and also gives developers the tools to build advanced filter pages, auto suggestions, and much more. So the package is being updated. What I found sometimes the downside is if you change some of these settings, it takes some time for the settings come through. I found it on some other hosting parties somewhat faster. So we're just waiting. Alright, so Elasticsearch was installed. You also have the possibility to install Redis for object caching and supervisor. So there we have the security tab. In this we can whitelist our own IPs, so you won't get blocked if you make some mistakes. And under the MySQL tab, you can also whitelist your IP. So these IPs can access the MySQL via remote connection. So for example, if you're using a database manager on your computer, or if you are running MySQL on a different server as your application. Then we have the tab vertical scaling, and with this you can increase the server size. So it might be that if you have many more applications running on this server, the performance will be lacking, and then we can increase the server. And of course, a bigger server can host more applications. Then we have the backups settings screen, in which we can change how often backups are taken. It can even be set to 1 hour, so that's quite some often, and also you can set up how long backups are kept. Of course, there's also a possibility to take a backup on demand of the whole server. Last, there's SMTP settings. If you have a managed server at Cloudways, it won't send emails that are sent by forms that you have on your website, or if you register a new user or other kind of WordPress emails, it won't send emails because it doesn't have any software installed for it. And it's perfectly logical because it's a good practice to separate the email functioning from the hosting of websites. But there is a solution, that is to use an external SMTP service, such as Elastic Email. But there's also a possibility to add your own SMTP service, such as Mailgun, Mandrill, Auth SMTP, SendGrid, and other suppliers. So what you do is that you use an external server which will handle all outgoing mails of your server. For example, Mailgun has a free subscription up to 10,000 emails a month. So that allows to have 10,000 emails at any given installation, which is quite generous, I must say. So in essence, these are the server settings. For managing your service, this is already quite more elaborate as most shared hosting packages. It's obvious because with shared hosting you don't have any insight in your server. So let's move on to the applications. If I click here on the right, I can go to my test application, and this is a WordPress app, and this walkthrough and review will mainly be focusing on WordPress. So here are all the details for our WordPress installation. You can access our database, which is based on Adminer. Change things there, close it down. You can also access our admin panel, and Cloudways automatically sets up a user and a password for you when you add a new WordPress installation, and adds a temporary URL. So if we click on this, we can access the temporary website here, and it's temporary. And this is quite useful when you're developing websites. When they're new and they don't be live yet, then you can already access them. Let's close it. And here on the right, you can add an SFTP or SSH user and password to access the application. Well, of course, you will want to have this another URL. So where you can change the URL is under domain management. And here you can add your domains. You can add also multiple domains. So let's add a domain and save the changes. Of course, if your DNS is pointing to the same server and you want to have multiple domains on a single installation, for example, if you're using WordPress multi-site subdirectories, you can add multiple domains in here. And the good thing is, if we change the domain here, it will also rewrite all the existing domains on the WordPress installation. If you go back here, we see the application URL has been updated, and also if this would be an existing website, the old URLs would be replaced by this new URL. Let's go on. WordPress has a cron job manager built in, but it's not that good because it needs visitors to trigger the cron jobs. And what you can do with the cron job management tab is add cron jobs on a custom way, and they will be executed in a different way as WordPress usually does. You won't go in here, we won't explain this into detail, but it's a great plus to be able to have cron jobs from this level. Of course, there's a tab for SSL certificates. Here we can just enable Let's Encrypt SSL certificate in one click. You just have to add your email and the domain names for which you want to add the SSL certificate, and that works quite well. There's a restore function. There are no backups available yet, so it won't show any because this is a quite new application. But if you would look in the future, like one day, like tomorrow, you will see the backup from today and you can restore to it. Then there is a deployment via Git tab, and this is very nice. You can generate an SSH key here. And this key you have to add to your your GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket repository. And you can add a remote address here, select branch, and also it is kind of gray, but select to what path on your server you want to deploy. And what this does is that you can manually pull from your repository all the software and deploy it on the path that you have defined here. So you can use Git to develop software, push it to the repository, and then go to Cloudways and pull it from your repository, and it will be updated on the server. And this is a very useful feature for development and integration. I've been using it a lot for client projects, and it also takes out the need for SFTP and makes for a much better development workflow. So then there's a tab with application settings, in which you can change some basic settings for application. Cloudways uses a stack which is based on Nginx, Apache, and Varnish, and they use Varnish for the caching of dynamic pages. And what that means is that caching means that a copy of a page is stored in a more easily accessible location, so it will load faster. The server doesn't have to regenerate a dynamic page each time a visitor visits your website, but as some kind of pre-rendered page is already available and served, and this, of course, goes way faster. And you see here the different settings, also settings for PHP FPM. Won't go further into that, and the settings for Varnish. You can add exception rules here. That is quite useful if you're, for example, using WooCommerce and don't want to cache every page. Then there is a tab about migration tools, and actually you cannot migrate here, but it's a link to a migration plugin from Cloudways. This plugin you can install on your WordPress installation to migrate your website to this certain application. And at last you have the Cloudways CDN. This is a paid add-on. As you can see here, you will be charged $1 for 25 gigabytes per application. And this will set up automatically the Cloudways CDN. And a CDN is a content delivery network. It will deliver the static assets of your website faster from multiple locations over the world. So what that means is that if someone from Sydney, for example, visits your website, the images and the style of the website will be served from a server close to Sydney. So this entails actually all the settings we have under application management. There are a couple of other things I want to show, and that is with the button here in the right corner, in which you can also use this button to add a new application, clone its existing app, create a staging environment for it. The staging environment is connected to this application and can be used to test plugins, do some development, and once you finish developing, you can push the changes from staging back to this existing application, and you can also use this functionality to clone apps. So this is a quite useful feature because you can use this to move applications over different servers. So for example, if I hit the clone application, I can move it to a different server, and that is quite useful for migration, or if applications are growing too big and you want to put them on a bigger server, and so forth. And of course, there's an option to delete your app, and it doesn't go straight. You first have to confirm, which I think is great. So then there are two other features of Cloudways I want to highlight, and first of that is the theme feature. And the theme feature allows you to add multiple users to Cloudways, and you can change the settings and the access levels of these users. And this is quite useful if you work with developers, clients, agencies, and you want to give them access to some servers or to some applications or to even to some projects. And this functionality does this. So just let's go ahead and add a member. What we have to do is add an email address. We will just have a sample email address. Oh, this is really nice. We can even select a job title. What shall we do? Let's do architect. That sounds nice. And here you can specify the different access levels. Of course, if someone is an administrator, you can give them billing access, which I find is quite high level. You can also add support access, so they can have access to the support of Cloudways. And they can have console access, and I will just click this so you can see more into detail how you can control the access levels of new members. So if we hit limited access, we can limit the access of this team member. For example, it can only add a server. It is allowed to have add-ons, which are often paid, or it can manage projects. And what Cloudways does is that every application is categorized in a certain project. And here we have test project. We can give full access to all applications and the server in here, but we can also restrict that. So we can even restrict deletion of the server, the adding of applications. We can only restrict the control to the given application. For example, services for restarting and stopping. So you can have team members with a quite detailed level of access. For now, we will just cancel it, but this gives a glimpse of the theme functionality. And at last, you have the projects functionality, and this is used to put applications in different projects. And as you can see, we used it before to define access levels for team members. And that's actually the most quite useful feature of projects. And of course, it helps to categorize different applications into projects, so we can add a new project and also add our existing applications to it. For now, we will just cancel it. There are a couple of other functionalities I want to show in. There is an affiliate program for Cloudways, so if you're quite content with them, if you're using them, you can use the affiliate program. There is an API available. You can generate an API key and use the documentation to build your own applications by using this API. There are a number of add-ons available. DNS Made Easy can be used to connect your DNS settings to Cloudways. By default, Cloudways isn't an email service, but you can add a Rackspace email add-on. This will add the functionality to have email addresses on Cloudways. There's an elastic email add-on, and this allows each server to send out emails that are filled in with forms or from WordPress, so the outgoing emails. There is also an add-on for automatic application upgrades and applications migrations, and the Cloudways CDN, which is actually being set up at application level, and we talked about it before. And at last, there's the Cloudways bot, and this gives different warnings about all your applications if settings are not alright, if backups fail, and so forth. You can even set up which things the bot should have notifications about. And at last, you can connect this to Slack. And this is quite nice. You can connect this to email address, but you can also connect this to your custom API or to an existing Slack channel. So, well, this is basically our most of the features from Cloudways. Of course, there is also a personal profile in which you can see your invoices and billing. It's not really that interesting to look into now. And there is a large support section, and that is quite nice. They have quite some articles on how to use Cloudways, but there is also a community boards in which you can ask your questions. There's the possibility to create a ticket for support, and there's the possibility for live chat. Well, connection is lost now, that doesn't matter, but in here you can have a connection with Cloudways employees and chat about the problems, and that's quite nice. I always like providers who have live chat because you're immediately in touch with them. We've been using Cloudways a couple of years now, and we found out that the support is quite good, but on some more technical questions, they don't have all the answers, and sometimes they don't seem to be very present. Possibly because they're answering a lot of more people, but in general, the knowledge level is quite okay. So that actually is the whole overview of Cloudways. There is much more detail in the written review. There are also performance details in our written review. It can be found in the link in the description. And what we've found out is that Cloudways is quite performant. We have been running a 4 GB server, and the server was able to serve over 2,200 concurrent users. But more of that in the review. So if you have any questions, comments, please feel free to react, and thank you for watching.